We are going to have her on the stage now for her speech. With your warm and loving applause, please let's welcome Additional Solicitor General of India, Miss Madhavi Divan. Please, let's have her on the stage. She's an Additional Solicitor General in Supreme Court of India, youngest woman to have been appointed to the post. She has represented the Government of India in landmark constitutional cases in the Supreme Court, including the Triple Talaq case, NJAC case on judges' appointments, challenges to the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. She's also an author of a book, Facets of Media Law, published by the Eastern Book Company. She's appeared in a range of corporate and commercial litigation on the original side of Bombay High Court and Supreme Court of India. Let us please have her on the stage with a big round of applause. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us.
Good afternoon, and it's actually my privilege to be here today. I'm very happy and surprised actually to see this very happy sisterhood, perhaps on the other side of the profession. I am, of course, in the rough and tumble of the courts, but it's wonderful to see that women are flourishing in a very different area of the profession. Well, I don't have a written speech today, but I did have the opportunity to see the names that have been proposed for this award, selected for this award. And I have to say that these are very doughty women who've been there, done it all, and remarkable trailblazers. When I was still taking very baby steps in the Supreme Court, they were already very established, as I said, trailblazers. And this is really nothing short of heroic, I would say, because this was a time when, well, there was no pressure to have any kind of diversity in the profession. Diversity has become this buzzword that I keep hearing all the time now, but it didn't exist back then. No one felt obliged to encourage women in the profession. There were fewer women judges, if at all, at the time. And very few people to want to encourage a woman when so many young men were already available. So therefore, in that time, to have stuck it on, to show the kind of tenacity that they have shown is nothing short of remarkable. And I would really, I have a lot of admiration for them. Well, speaking for myself, I think, litigation is very challenging area of the law. And I think that it's a great initiative by Legal Era to take this on, because we do need to have conversations about this. Often we just give it lip service, but I think there's a lot that can be done to improve the lot of women in litigation. Because litigation is perhaps regarded as the most male-centric area of the profession, where, the stereotype is that you need to be aggressive, you need to be loud, and in a certain mold to be able to succeed before the court. And I don't think that is quite true. You need to be persuasive, but there are many ways of being persuasive. And I don't think we need to emulate the men in this regard. Having said that, I cut my teeth in the Bombay High Court many, many years ago. And I am very sad to say that even today, in the Bombay High Court on the original side, which is where a lot of the very top quality litigation comes from there, commercial litigation comes from there, but there are almost no senior counsel who are women. I happened to have the opportunity of working with some of the very top commercial counsel in Bombay. And I do recall, I at that time, I would kind of want to downplay my gender for a very practical reason, because, if you were known to be expecting a child, or if you had just had a child. I mean, these were things which were sure to get you cut out of the next brief that any solicitor was thinking of, briefing you. You were sure to get cut out. So my own formula was to just downplay it and not wear my gender on my sleeve. But I said that I worked with a lot of very top commercial counsel who were, of course, men. And I can't help say this, but I did have the opportunity of working on one commercial matter with a woman counsel, who was, of course, much, much senior to me. And I saw the remarkable difference. I saw how the men were just streets ahead. And there's a reason I'm saying this. The men were streets ahead, and I was disappointed. I was very disappointed with what I saw when I worked with a woman counsel. Now, why could that have happened? I think, frankly, it is perhaps the lack of adequate and frequent opportunities which women get in hardcore commercial litigation. It is not a lack of ability, but ability also comes with opportunity. We know that every time we appear in court in a difficult case, and we try and put in our best, our next performance is almost always a little better. So it is opportunity that really gives you the confidence and the competence to really shine in the profession. And when we look at, the top counsel, say in the Supreme Court, a lot of them, as you know, are men. It's not as if stars fall out of the skies. It's because someone is nurturing them from bottom up. So therefore, if women are to really flower in litigation, we have a lot of women at the bottom in litigation. There are lots and lots of women we see, and very competent women that I come across. But when you're talking of the top, it just gets, sparser and sparser as you go up ahead. And the reason is they've either fallen off the ladder because they couldn't manage the work-life balance, they couldn't juggle their families, a husband got posted outside, or, and I think this is something where we need to pay a little attention, because of lack of opportunity. It just didn't create that confidence. And therefore, how do we create those opportunities to enable women to perform in court? And I remember about just, I think pre-pandemic, I was on a panel discussion on this subject of diversity. As I said, it's become suddenly fashionable to talk about diversity. I don't know why it didn't happen before, but I was on a panel, and there was happened to be a young woman partner from a law firm. And currently, since I'm in a government position, I don't do any private work. But I remember raising this issue with her, on the panel, and I said that, now that we have so many women partners in law firms, why is it not translating at all into women doing a little better in litigation, or more than a little better in litigation? And she said, it was a very standoffish kind of response, which surprised me initially, but then I understood what she was talking about. She said, well, I think you need to ask the men that question. Why are they not briefing the women? Don't ask us these questions. We have enough problems to deal with. So is it, I wondered whether it is, that women don't support other women because, is it because they would be, they want to be a part of the boys' club, or they would be, they found it hard to get where they have themselves, and therefore to then be seen to be supporting other women is seen as, well, is going to affect their own trajectories. I don't know what it is, because I don't belong to that side. But I think that it is important that the fraternity, the sisterhood, starts supporting women across the board, and vice versa. So we need to have these conversations. The other thing is about, of course, as I said for myself, that I was always playing down my gender. I didn't want to talk about, how I was raising, or how I was finding this challenge of raising 2 young children. And I always felt that, if anyone knows that I'm expecting a child, or, I need to get back because there's a parent-teacher meeting. I felt it would always be, and it was practically, they always found other young men to brief. So this is something that made one very insecure at that stage. And the fact is, there have been people who very plainly told me, this is their bread and butter, it's your jam. So, that perception is always there. So how does one really change that? It's only in the last few years that I felt that, all right, when people have asked me to speak on subjects which are related to women in the profession, initially I was very reluctant because, as I said, I never saw myself as a woman lawyer. I did not want to, just associate myself with only women-centric cases. I wanted to do the hardcore litigation that any successful man wanted to do. But I just figured that perhaps it's important for younger women in the profession to be talking about this challenge. And I think that today they are much more, the younger women are much more assertive. I'm glad to see that. But we also need to find practical problems. Like in one conversation, I remember with a bunch of young counsel from the Bombay High Court original side, and they asked a question. They said that, don't you think we should have affirmative action and more women counsel should be designated? And I was quite surprised by that question, because I felt that ultimately it's the market that determines whether you will be briefed. You can have you can have any number of women designated as senior counsels, but if the work doesn't come, it's really no good. So how do we create that excellence and merit for women to become bankable options? And I think it is, one is, as I said, it's opportunity. When you spot talent, you've got to try and encourage it, no matter how young or junior that person. I think that's a duty we all owe to other young women and our own fraternity, one. Two is, I think we've got to talk about other issues, and perhaps organizations, law firms can initiate those discussions on how to manage your life, because, we are dealing with a lot, let's face it. We're dealing with, and why should we have to give up the option of having a family along with a career? Men don't have to make that choice. There is no reason why we should have to make that choice. And we should be able to enjoy both. And therefore, I feel that these are conversations which need to start on how you can manage it. Because frankly, performing in court, being ready with your next matter, I think it's equally important for me to be sorted in the rest of my life, which may be my home, it may be my family, it may be my children, it may be my other relationships. It's as important for me to be sorted there, for me to be able to perform well in my next matter. So I think how to manage our lives is going to become important, perhaps more for women, but also, of course, for men, because we're leading stressful lives. We're seeing for the first time that women are finding it difficult, their emotional health, mental health, all this, we need to talk about this. We need to have conversations on how we can tackle this. And of course, I would also say that, perhaps I'm running out of time, so I won't take very long, but just to say that, being a woman is a many-splendored thing. I sometimes, I don't envy men. I think they have fewer choices sometimes in life. They are instinctively, they want to let their hair down a little less than women do sometimes. And I think it's a beautiful, thing to be a woman. And let's try and enjoy all of it. But we need to start those conversations perhaps as early in law school. I grew up in a family of 2 daughters where, my parents were very liberal. I was given the freedom to choose whatever profession, and my family didn't belong to, there were no other lawyers in the family. But they gave me the freedom to choose. But I don't think they alerted me to how my gender might obstruct my trajectory. And I think that this is something that women, if they are alerted well in advance, and then they learn to find good practical means of overcoming it, I think they would do really, really well. So I wish each one of us the very best. I wish younger women, I'm sure we're going to see many, many more of them blossom and flower in every facet of the profession. And congratulations, of course, to the winners of today's awards. I admire you all very, very much. Thank you.